Thank you.
All right, and joining us now to analyze from Chicago, Fox News contributor Steve Cortez, and with us in studio, Cathy Areu, publisher of Catalina magazine. Let me start with you, Cathy. What do you think happened here? It seems to me it's not clear cut.
It's not clear-cut, but he is not an illegal immigrant. He is here legally until 2018, and he said he was hailing a cab after going to a restaurant, and at that moment he didn't have his papers, which this is not a show me your paper state. It's not illegal not to have your license, your ID with you, and at that point, 3 hours later, he was thrown out of the country. So he is a legal citizen, and the Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security did acknowledge that he was supposed to be here until 2018. Legally, he could be here until 2018. So they switched their story. So he is a legal resident of this country that was deported to Mexico within 3 hours.
But Steve, so DHS is saying that he left and he did so without getting the permission, and so that they were well within their rights in order to do this. What do you make of it?
Right. You know, Dana, well, also, I would take umbrage with Cathy saying that he's a citizen. He's not a citizen. Now, listen, I have great empathy. Okay, resident. I have great empathy for these DACA kids. I do, because they had it was not on their own volition. They were brought here by their parents. I have no such sympathy, by the way, for adults who willfully break our immigration laws.
Right.
And I say this as a Trump partisan, as an Hispanic. Legal immigrants are a treasure to the United States. Illegal immigrants are a scourge upon our land. And it's part of why Trump won this recent election. And he is delivering on his promise. He is securing the border. Illegal crossings are down dramatically. Deportations are up dramatically. And he has promised to get dangerous illegals out of here immediately. Now, in the case of Mr. Montez, the facts are disputed. He's going to have his day in court. But let's just say he's right. And I happen to believe Homeland Security, but let's say he's right.
Okay.
That would be one person out of 800,000 DACA people that we mistakenly deported. That's a pretty darn good record.
Well, it's certainly true. Kathy, I think it's clear that President Trump is not trying to target them. I mean,
Well, he said he has a heart, and he made his campaign promise that he would never deport a DACA citizen resident. But he has had 3 have actually been detained in this country. They have 2 other cases of Dreamers who have been detained. So this is scary, I think, for everyone, not just Hispanics in this country. I think everyone should be a little bit afraid that if we don't have papers on us, we are going to be thrown to Mexico. I mean, it's a
well, I mean, maybe what it is, Steve, is that there just has to be some tightening up of the process, because I do think that if you're going to ramp up and try to enforce the law, that there could be a situation where you have cases where, like this one, where it's murky or it's unclear. And when you say that he will have his day in court, that is true. And I hope that that is quick, because, as Cathy was saying, he should have been allowed to, I guess he's saying he never should have been deported. But if you're,
right,
they're saying he left willingly.
Let me also say this.
This is like the crux of the issue. We need to know what happened.
Right.
Right. Let me also say this in defense of President Trump, who comes under just constant criticism from the mainstream media that he's somehow anti-Hispanic, and that's completely not true. He preserved DACA, and he got almost no credit for that. I think he showed great heart in preserving DACA because, again, they were brought here as children. They had no say in the fact that they came here. He is going to get control, and already is, getting control of our immigration system, which was a foundational campaign promise that he ran on, but he's not in the business of looking for people brought here as children to kick them out without good reason.
But he is. If this case is true, then he did not keep his campaign promise.
But you don't. He's not the one actually making the arrest and doing the activity. I mean,
but people feel compelled that they could do this. That's scary under a Trump administration that they feel that they could do this.
And the danger here is that everyone jumps to conclusions before we actually have the facts. Can I just switch to a different topic really quickly, because there's a report out in the Washington Post was talking about a meeting down in Miami where they're trying to figure out, should we be a sanctuary city or not? And where do you think that is headed? Because it almost seems like just the threat of taking away federal funds to sanctuary cities is actually spurring some action.
Well, studies show that sanctuary cities are actually safer than other cities because people feel that they could report crimes. They feel that they're part of their communities. So immigrants actually assimilate faster if they feel they're part of their community. If they don't report crimes, if people start shutting their doors and not talking to the police, our cities aren't as safe. So sanctuary cities are historically safer than other cities.
Okay, but it is against the law, Steve.
Dana.
Go ahead.
Dana, I hate even this term of sanctuary city.
Yeah.
They should be called renegade cities, okay? Because it's not sanctuary for the victims of crimes. It's not sanctuary for the cops who have to deal with dangerous illegal immigrants who don't belong here in the first place. And then on top of that, are dangerous to communities. And by the way, the communities they're most dangerous to are Latino communities in general. And I will give you a terrible example from just over a month ago. A young, beautiful Hispanic American mother named Sandra Duran was mowed down in cold blood by a man named Alvarado who had been deported 5 times. And one of the reasons I think that he was able to remain at large in Los Angeles is because, guess what? It's a sanctuary city. So Americans are saying enough.
What
it's
about
one of
cases
the reasons
like
we
that,
elected
Kathy?
Trump.
I mean, I know that is one example.
But there are so many men who commit crimes. So what are we going to say? Let's get rid of all the men in the United States? Because women do not historically commit crimes like men do. So when are we going to stop? That is a horrible case.
But if
when
they're
are we
here
gonna draw the line?
illegally,
No,
That is
Kathy,
one
hold on.
case. Not every illegal immigrant commits crimes. That's one horrible
I don't
case.
think that's
But
not what
hold on.
Steve's saying.
You don't have the right to be here in the first place.
There are
On top
so
of it,
many
it's
that are
as if-
law-abiding citizens who are paying taxes. They've been here for
It's
years.
as if
Most immigrants
I'm
have been here
having a
over 10
party-
years and are law-abiding citizens.
Last word to you, Steve.
Residents.
I'm
residents.
If I'm having a party at my house, all right, and somebody uninvited shows up, and on top of that they start breaking things, guess what? You're out.
It would
all right?
probably be
It's
a
just
man. It
common
would probably
sense.
be a man, not a woman doing it.
All right, now we got gender.
That doesn't matter to
I
me.
got gender wrapped up in here. All right, Kathy, Steve, thank you so much. Interesting issue. Directly ahead, new polling just out over President Trump's handling of Syria and North Korea. How could it influence the administration's handling of the crisis? Stay tuned.